Alright, I'm finally getting to recording my birth story of baby Rain, and I'm so excited. I have been wanting to share, but it's so hard, honestly, to find the time anymore with 3. That is one thing that's been the biggest adjustment, is just like, you're always doing something. Somebody always needs something, and really my only alone time is right now while Hayden's napping and I have Selah and Rain, or when I'm driving by myself, but that just didn't feel like too fun to record. So I'm sitting down, I have my notes, I've got my girl, and I'm just gonna do my skincare as like a little form of get ready with me, because I'm not really wearing makeup right now because I want to just cuddle her and be skin to skin all the time. I don't want my makeup to get on her. But yeah, we'll just go ahead and start. I feel like I need to first start by sharing her name and why we named her Rain. So fast forward to when we first found out we were pregnant with Rain. I was 9 months postpartum with Haven, and definitely not trying to get pregnant. I got pregnant my very first period. So I was nursing, had not had my period yet, and then I immediately got pregnant that very first time. So we were like, okay, Lord, like clearly you want her to be here. So we, yeah, we've always kind of went back and forth with names, and it's been something that, like once we hear it, we both instantly agree type of thing, almost. And that was kind of how it felt with Rain. I had this for like a middle name, not necessarily a first name. And then I actually had a friend who was like, what about Rain? And I was like, yeah, you're right, that is really cute. So then it kind of re-sparked that name for me. And when I told Jamal, he was like, I love it, that's it. And kind of the background story to why we named her Rain was just because of this pregnancy being unplanned. This pregnancy was also extremely difficult. I literally threw up until I was almost 6 months pregnant. I was just so sick this time around. And I always kind of get sick with each one of them, but this was just next level. I literally could not even stand up. I just like was laying down my entire pregnancy. I threw up multiple times a day, and so Rain was really like a statement name. It was like the Lord is gonna reign in our lives no matter what. And that's just kind of how it felt. Like we had our plan for a son to be next, kind of just like what we felt, and then it was her, and she was such a pleasant little surprise, and we just was like, all right, this is just the Lord reigning in our life and him just being God no matter what our own plans look like. I got Selah with me too, doing her skincare. And so yeah, that's kind of the story behind her name. So fast forward, pregnancy is really rough. I am not getting adjustments. I'm not doing any of the things I did with my other pregnancies. I'm literally taking bare minimum prenatal supplements. I'm just not invested
now
as much.
Take some of this oil.
Okay, just a little. Yeah, I'm just not as invested financially in this pregnancy. 1, because it's a surprise, and then 2, the Lord told us we would have another home birth, and home births are about $7,000. So I'm like, okay, great. And so yeah, I am just doing the bare minimum. I'm in preps for birth. Your mind almost goes to when you've done it in the past of like, I need to be getting adjustments. I need to be doing all of these stretching and like walking, different exercises to help get her in a good position. And I just honestly had time for none of that. So my biggest prayer this time was just like, Lord, help me. Like I'm doing the bare minimum this pregnancy, but I want her to be in a good position. I want to have a smooth, easy labor and delivery, all of the things, right? And so yeah, leading up to birth, I'm thinking this is my third baby, and I just had Haven literally 9 months ago. So, wait, not 9 months ago. By the time she was here, 1.5 years ago. And so I'm thinking to myself, surely this time has got to be easier. Or easier and quicker, really. And so that was my biggest thing that I really, really wanted. But leading up to those last few weeks of pregnancy, I hit my due date, and I'm not surprised because I've gone overdue with literally all of my babies. But she really, really surprised me. It being the third baby and just having birth, I would have thought like maybe I'd go like a little bit sooner, or at least like closer to stateless time. I had her at 40 in 4 days, and then I had Haven at 41. She was 41 in 4 days. So again, really, really made me wait. I ended up opting to get a membrane sweep right at 41 and 2 days, 41 and 3 days.
I want to put this on my lips.
Okay. And so I did the membrane sweep, wasn't expecting too much. And I do believe that it probably worked because I went into labor within the 48-hour mark of there. But I also think my body was just ready. And they typically say with the membrane sweep anyways, like you'll go into labor if your body is ready.
Now what do we do with this one?
We're not going to put this one on her face.
Why?
Because that one has a little bit of makeup in it. Okay, remember Mommy's talking right now, so
Okay,
let's
well,
wait
what
to
do we
interrupt.
do with this one?
You can put it on your face. So yeah, I do believe the membrane sweep worked. I remember the night before, I was 41 in 3 days. My mom was here, and everybody at that point, once you go overdue, that's the hardest thing, is just like the outside noise from everybody, like, oh my gosh, are you gonna induce? Like, what if you go to 42 and like your midwives opt you out and all of the things. And I was not worried about any of that. I did have like one moment to where I was just like, I kind of broke down, and it was actually the day and a half before I had her. And they always say like you can have like this little emotional breakdown right before you go. And the reason I did was because I got the membrane sweep, and when my midwife was checking my cervix, she was like, she's still really, really high up, and you're like maybe 1 centimeter. And I was like, huh? And I know that dilation and all of that doesn't really mean anything because it can change so much in a moment. But it being my third baby, and again at this time with Haven, I was like over 3 centimeters dilated. So I started to compare, and I was like, what do you mean? So had a little emotional moment about that, and that also like leads into my birth. So night before, I am just hanging out with my mom. We're on the couch. We're laughing at, well, let me rewind actually to the morning of. So morning of, baby, no more.
Why?
Please let mommy finish this video, okay?
I want to do that.
No more. I've let you do all of them, okay? I need you to go color, and I will be done in about 10 minutes.
I haven't done this one.
Okay, but this one's not for your skin. It's for grown-ups only. All of these rest are for grown-ups. Okay?
This one?
Yeah. Okay, go color.
No, I don't want to. I already
Sayla,
colored.
I'm not going to tell you again, baby.
I
I'm
already
Okay,
colored.
well then go out there. I'm recording this video right now.
Well, I want to show you something.
No, I'm in the middle of something. If you cannot be respectful, you're going to go upstairs.
Look.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going to take that right now. Please go out there and be patient. If you interrupt mommy again, you'll have to go upstairs, okay?
Okay, but will you
No
do
more
a different
interrupting.
show?
No, I cannot do that right now. No more interrupting.
Okay.
Okay. Where was I? Okay, so the morning that I end up going into labor, I end up waking up and I'm super nauseous, end up throwing up. And that ends up giving me like a teeny bit of hope of, okay, like maybe this is the day, because I know like nausea is an early labor sign. And so, yeah, I ended up throwing up. And when I threw up, the forcefulness of me throwing up lodged her so deep into my pelvis that literally it was so painful. I ended up feeling her lodge so far down, but I feel like she got stuck on the left side of my pelvic bone, pelvic muscle, whatever it is. And it was so painful. So I ended up spending the entire day just doing like deep stretches. I was doing this one like prenatal labor inducing stretch that was like putting me in all these crazy positions to be able to like help relieve pain and all the stuff. And so I ended up doing that, and truly I think that's what sent me into labor. So I ended up doing that, laying down on the couch with the heating pad, and at this point I'm thinking like I don't even want to go into labor today because I am so sore from her getting so lodged into my pelvis. I'm just not trying to like labor for the night or however long it takes. So I ended up going about my day, and throughout my day too, I should mention that I am drinking so much water. Like those Owla water bottles, I ended up having like 8 of those. I don't even know. It was like my body knew I was going to be laboring that night and I needed the energy, because at that point I had not been drinking water like I should. So I was super well hydrated. I was laying down, and then about 7 o'clock, I was like, I'm gonna do the mile circuit. So I ended up doing the mile circuit. I do it probably like 15 minutes on each side. I didn't do the whole entire hour. But after that, it's like something switched in my body. I felt so good. Immediately, like all the pain was relieved, all of the pressure, just like everything felt really good. My body felt really loose, felt like she was like in this perfect position. And so I just like got this little energy boost. I was like, you know what, let me take a shower, let me blow out my hair, let me do my skincare, put on like a little comfy set. And so I did all of that. And then my mom was here, which was perfect. Okay, first of all, like the side to side difference of this is crazy. But yeah, so my mom was here. We're sitting on the couch. We're just like laughing, having a good time, watching like different pictures back and videos back from Haven's birth, my middle child. And we're just having a great time. And then I start telling my mom, I'm like, I'm gonna go into labor tonight or tomorrow. Like, she's gonna be here. I just like felt it in my spirit. And I was like, I should probably like go get some rest because I'm gonna need the energy. And so I ended up making like these like little lactation protein balls. And I was like, all right, after this, I'm gonna go to bed. And at that point, it was 9 o'clock. And I remember like being in the kitchen making these protein balls. And I had like the teeniest little Braxton Hicks contraction. But it's like you're so far along at that point, you know, those are like absolutely nothing. You're not thinking much about it. And then also like I've been kind of faked out by this labor stuff so much. I was like, I'm just gonna ignore that. And so I did. I ignored it. And then at like 10 o'clock, at that point I was in bed already. I had gotten ready for the night, and I'm laying in bed and I'm just scrolling on my phone, and I feel my first like real contraction. It was intense enough to make me be like, what's that? So I ended up feeling this contraction, and I tell Jamal at this point, I'm like, all right, I think tonight's the night. Like, go get the tub blown up. Let's do all the prep work stuff. And so he ends up blowing up the tub. At this point, it's like 10:30. I'm still getting them. At this point, they're like 8 to 10 minutes apart. But when they are coming, like, they're pretty intense. Like, I can tell they're like changing my cervix. They're not painful or anything. I can still like talk in between them. But I'm like, all right, this is doing something. So I start to get a little bit excited. And I'm like, I know I'm not going to be able to probably fully rest, but let me just like lay here, close my eyes, and just like really lay down until I absolutely can't. That was my strategy, because I've quickly learned in the past, if you don't rest before you go into active labor, you just quickly wear yourself out. So I am laying in bed, I'm resting, and then probably about an hour passes. They're still coming. I text my midwives at this point, and I'm like, hey, I think I might be in labor. Don't know yet, but I'll keep you posted if anything like starts to pick up. So then probably about 10:45, I was like, okay, I'm definitely in labor. Don't want you guys to come yet. I still feel really good, but just wanted to let you know. And so, they're like, all right, sounds good. And ended up being my midwife on call that I wanted. So I was like, perfect, this is great. And so I am just laboring through them. At this point, I'm standing up. I'm no longer laying down. I am like, okay, getting excited, because at that point I've been waiting so long for labor to start. I could not wait. And one sign that I always get that I know I'm going into labor immediately within 24 hours I'm having a baby in my arms is I will lose my mucus plug and have like my bloody show. And so I ended up going to the bathroom about, let me look at my timeline. I ended up going to the bathroom about 11:50, and I wipe and I see literally all of my mucus plug come out. Like, it was so thick. I was bleeding. I was like, oh my gosh. At that point, I started crying out of pure joy and excitement, because I was like, okay, this is real. She's coming. I'm in labor. And so I'm crying. I'm on the toilet. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. And so I tell my husband, and I'm like, all right, I text my midwife. So I'm like, I just lost my mucus plug, got my bloody show. Things are happening. And they're like, all right, let us know the next shift. Because at this point, again, I'm like happy. I'm smiling. I'm also at this point questioning how far along I am, because again, these contractions are intense, but I had just had that appointment a day and a half ago, and they're like, girl, you are 1 centimeter. So I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, maybe I have like hours and hours to go. So that's kind of in my head, but I kind of just, one of my prayers was like, Lord, let me like intuitively know where I'm at, know how to move during labor to help the pain, know how to just like basically help myself progress and all of the things. And so I texted my midwife at 12:25, and I said, okay, I think you guys should probably come, because I'm starting to, the contractions started to get so intense that my body started to shake. And I know that's like a transition symptom. So I was like, maybe I'm in transition. Maybe these are just like starting to work through my body more intensely. I still was like really in my head, because again, I'm walking around my house. I go wake my mom up at this point, and I'm like, hey, the midwives are on their way. But I'm just still very much like working through them and having really great control. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm far along, maybe I'm not. I just did not know. And then, okay, so then some time passes. All of my go-to positions this time were either just standing up and just like swaying and rocking back and forth, or I was seated on this ball. For like when I had stood so much that I just needed more rest. So I thought both of those, they just felt really great for my body. And then, so my midwives are texting me. They're like, all right, we are 40 minutes away. So they ended up arriving at 1:15. So by the time they got here, I definitely had shifted. I was no longer able to talk through contractions, but I was just really, really focusing. I was listening to my worship sets. I was praising the Lord. That's something I did this time that I was just so proud of myself, is my first home birth and my first unmedicated birth with Haven, there was so many moments to where I would like brace myself for the next contraction because I knew how painful it was going to be. And this time I knew that I had to like really release all of that tension throughout my body so that I could just relax and let the contraction work through me. I knew that they were no longer like bad or something to fear, but just something that like I needed to lean into. So I would literally, like, when a contraction came and would hit its peak, I would like shake out my hands super hard and like breathe through them and just like do all of these little physical reminders to like release and to let go. And that really, really helped me. So I was super proud of myself for that. And even with each contraction that came, I was so grateful to be in labor. I just would like praise God. I would literally be like, thank you, Lord, for this contraction. And just like in the midst of all of that, I feel like that alone truly like made it a pain-free birth. During this whole birth, I should really mention that I only felt pain for probably the last 40 minutes of birth. It was so much more manageable, and truly like it just came down to mindset, like just being in a posture of praise and like thankfulness for it, the contractions coming, as opposed to like that fear, tension, pain cycle of like tensing up and holding on to that within your body. And so yeah, that made such a difference. And I'm really proud of myself for just the amount of control that I had this time. And I felt like it was literally all from the Lord. Just He answered my prayers so well. So they arrive 1:15. I'm working through these contractions. And then at 1:29, so basically 1:30, I am sitting on the ball and I feel like this twig inside my body just snap. And I'm like, okay, my water just broke. And so I stand up. This time, usually like when my water breaks, I'm pushing and I'm complete and the water's coming out with my baby. But this time it was like a break and a slow trickle. So yeah, I felt a little bit in my head this time because I was genuinely shocked. I was like, my water just broke. I'm not pushing. Like, am I done? Because again, every time my water's broke, I've been done within 5 minutes. So I start to get excited and I'm like, okay, like she's coming. And they know that my water's always broken when I'm pushing. And so they're like, kind of also like, do you feel pushy? Like, are you ready to get her out? And I didn't feel pushy at this point, so that kind of got in my head, and I was like, oh, I don't really feel pushy right now, but like we could try. So I really wanted to have a water birth this time. So at this point, I get in the water, and every time it's like so disappointing because I really think I want to be in the water, but once I get in the water, it's so hot. Every time I'm like overstimulated by the heat of it because I'm sweating. Like at this point, I have an ice pack on me. I got my fan on me. I'm just so hot from working through the contractions. So I stay in there for maybe 2 minutes and I'm like, I can't do this. It's just too much. So I pop up, I get out, I get right on my bed, hands and knees. That's how I had Haven, and so that felt like, okay, if I'm about to push, I can do it like this. So I get up, get on my hands and knees, and Dawn, my midwife, is like, let me just check you. Do you mind? Like, she knows my water broke, and I'm also GBS positive. And so my plan is always, if my water is broken before labor, I would get antibiotics. But if it breaks right at the end, because you have to take the antibiotics for 4 hours. So if you don't have enough time for that, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's pointless, but you really want the full dose. And so as long as your water's intact, you have like a very, very, very small risk of giving that to baby. So I felt really comfortable with not getting the antibiotics. But anyways, my midwife was like, let me check you. I just want to make sure you're like complete and we're not like at a 5 centimeter situation and you need like a lot longer. So I agreed. She checked me. I was 10 centimeters, and this was at 1:34. So literally 5 minutes after my water breaks, she checks me. And so at this point, she's like, are you feeling pushy? I'm not feeling anything. I can still feel her like really high up. So what am I trying to say? Instinctively, you know what I'm trying to say, but my brain's a little scrambled. And so yeah. And so I end up getting off of my bed, and I just like wrap my arms around Jamal, and I'm just like slow dancing and swaying with him back and forth to try to like bring her down. And that really brought her down. I started to feel pushy maybe after 5 minutes of doing that. So let's see. Oh, it was a little bit longer. So I was 10 centimeters at 1:35, and then at 1:56, I get back onto my bed because I'm starting to feel pushy. But something to mention at this point too was once I got back on the bed, literally contractions completely stopped. Like, it was such a weird feeling. It felt like I wasn't even in labor. But immediately I felt like no fear, nothing come over me. I was just like, okay, like I'm getting a little break. Praise God for this. Like, the contractions aren't right on top of each other. And so I just leaned into the break because my body needed it. And so yeah, I felt really good about that. And then, so that was okay. So then within 5 minutes, I get my next contraction. So I have almost a break of no contractions for 5 minutes. And then at 2:01 a.m., I start pushing. And pushing this time felt really, really different. With Haven's birth, again, I was in the same hands and knees position. But she just like, I was so pushy with her. Like, she just pretty much came all right out. And really, yeah. And really, like, the timeline of it was pretty much the same. Rain was born at 2:10 a.m. So I only pushed for 9 minutes. It was actually even faster than Haven's pushing. Here you go, baby.
It's not working. It's open. No, it opened.
Here. I don't think they're supposed to close that hard. That's about all they can do. I think part of you has broken these cages a little bit. There. So pushing felt really different this time because, again, I just had like no break in between those pushes with Haven, but this time with Rain, I felt like such a massive break. Like, every time I would stop contracting, I would just have 5 minutes just to like chill out and sit there. And so that was just so wonderful, but it was also kind of hard to lean into because I was like, dang, how long do I have of this right now? And every time that I feel like I think those thoughts, like, you're literally done. I had one moment, and I feel like everybody probably has one moment during an unmedicated birth, literally right at the end. I remember being on my hands and knees. I'm listening to this worship song, and I'm like, why do I do this? Why don't I just go to the hospital and get an epidural? Like, this is so hard. And I'm like, oh, this is so intense. And it honestly really wasn't even that intense. I'm telling you, it was more just like you get in your mind of like how much longer, because you just feel done. Because it's just such a marathon. Like, it's literally like doing the hardest workout of your life. So then I'm pushing 2:05, her head. I feel her head crown. And what's crazy is in my birth prayers and like wishes that I sent out to people is I really wanted to feel God's presence when I delivered her. And so literally her head crowns. I feel like that really intense stretching, and I feel at that point like I literally just want to bear down and just pop her right out. Because I know how to push really effectively. I know how to get them out really quick if I need to. But I felt the Lord his presence come on me so strong during that time, and he was like, just wait. She needs the break, you need the break. And so I waited. I just started to breathe, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna hold this position until this next contraction. So the next contraction, again, 5 minutes apart. So I literally just held the ring of fire for 5 minutes. And I'm telling you, it should have been so much more painful than it was. I look back at the birth video and I'm like dead silent. Like, I'm not even like screaming like my first time. I'm not making any noises. I'm just dead silent. And I was so shocked by that. And it's literally the Lord. Like, his presence was so strong on me that I just like felt such a grace in that moment to wait and to be patient. So her head crowns, and then on that very next contraction, I just feel him tell me, just, okay, go ahead, push, get her out. And so I did, and she came right out in just one little tiny push. So 2:10 a.m. she was born. She had her first little cry, and it was just incredible. So literally a 4-hour labor from that very first contraction at 10 to her being here at 2:10 a.m. was such a crazy experience. Literally the best birth experience. I feel so lucky and so blessed. I feel like it redeemed my perspective in so many ways. Every birth he teaches me something. Haven's birth was like such a surrender experience. At this point, I had already felt like I had leaned so hard into the surrender, and that's why my birth was easier. But even just like, he really taught me a lot about like the suddenlies of like being 1 centimeter dilated to literally a day and a half later being 10 centimeters in 4 hours, and it just being so quick. And then just even the suddenly of like, Lord, when am I gonna be done? And then her being here not even 5 minutes later after like just thinking that in my mind. And so yeah, I just felt like his goodness was just all over my birth. This birth has made me want to give birth again, and I've never felt that after an unmedicated birth. I'm always like, I'm never doing that again. But I'm like, I could do it again pretty quickly, but I'm not going to. So the only thing that was just different this time too than all of my other births was my placenta took longer to deliver. So this time around, my placenta is usually born within literally 5 minutes. This time it took, let me see. My placenta was born at 2:32, so it took 22 minutes to be born. And I just remember her being like, all right, we got to get this placenta out. So it was kind of like a little bit sad, but I was okay with it. It didn't make me super sad in the moment of like, right when Rain was born, she pretty much immediately she was on me for like 5 minutes, and then after that she pretty much immediately went to Jamal, like skin to skin, because I had to get the placenta out. And I ended up having to like get up and squat and do all of these like different positions, and it just like was not coming out, which also that was annoying, because after you finish having an unmedicated birth, you feel so relieved and you're so happy and you're like, oh my gosh, I did this. And then to get up and have to bear down and squat and like do it again was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling that. So that wasn't fun, but it finally came out and it was all good. I had no tearing. I've never torn a birth, thank God. So I'm really grateful for that. So my recovery has been so easy. And honestly, like even just how fast everything was this time, I feel like because of that, even my recovery has just been incredible. Like I used a peri bottle this time for like 2 days because I just had no burning, none of that kind of stuff. It just, everything felt so great. I have to like remind myself this postpartum to sit down and take it easy because I genuinely just feel so good. So yeah, I'm just so grateful for that. I feel like I'm on literally cloud 9 with just her being here, the ease that she's really brought to our family, the rest in so many ways. Even just at night, she's resting super well. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Even at night, she's giving us like 4 or 5 hour stretches already. And so, I don't know. I'm just so grateful. The third baby has like made me want to be like a ballerina farms or something and having all these kids. But that's her birth story. That is, yeah, my testimony really of just the goodness of God. Really just, I felt like this pregnancy was just such a reminder of his goodness without having to work for it. I literally did not have to work for it. I didn't have to work for it in chiropractic appointments and buying fancy supplements and walking a ton and doing all of this extra work. I literally just laid down most of my pregnancy. And then even in my birth, I laid down for even just an hour and a half of my labor. I literally was only on my feet for a couple hours and feeling really intensity. I was probably only in active labor for an hour and 30 minutes. So it was just wonderful. I can't say enough good things about it. I'm gonna have more kids, hopefully just one more, but yeah, we'll see. All right, guys, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye.